I have read or listened to more than 150 self-improvement books. At first, my motivation for reading was of course about getting rich. The goal was to earn $10,000 a month. And books helped me to get that goal and also taught me life-changing lessons. In this video and the next, I will share with you 10 of those exciting lessons. Number 1. Don't live below your means. Expand your means. I think I got this advice from Robert Kiyosaki at his book Second Chance. Kiyosaki says, if you go to a financial planner, he'll tell you to save money and cut expenses, so you will stop buying the things you enjoy, such as dinners in your favorite restaurants. He says, why don't you look at the other side of the equation? Why don't we find ways to earn more money so that the price of the dinner becomes irrelevant? Cutting expenses is a passion killer. Nobody wants to live below your means. Nobody wakes up excited in the morning and says, I'm going to cut costs here and there so I have a few extra dollars. Cutting costs isn't motivating. Always focus on earning more. Instead of saying, I can't afford it, say, how can I afford it? From early on, this advice made so much sense to me for two main reasons. First, I realized that cutting costs has a limit. There are only a limited amount of costs, and there are a lot of things that you can do to win more money. Number 2, I realized that my main currency is my energy and time. I can use 1 hour of my energy to cut, let's say, $10, or use the same energy to earn $1,000. I know people who keep an Excel file and write down every single thing they buy during the day, constantly search for ways to cut expenses, go from shop to save some dollars, and to spend their limited willpower so that they don't buy $5 things that they love. All these things require so much energy. And I've learned you have a much better return if you invest that energy into earning more money. Earning more isn't that scary. Earning more simply means solving more problems. The more problems you solve, the more money you earn. The path to making more money and solving problems looks something like this. First, you start solving small problems. These are usually problems on a personal level, such as a lack of knowledge on certain topics or a lack of self-confidence. Then you move on to more complex ones. Every time you solve a problem, you move to another level where there's another problem waiting for you to be solved. The more money problems you solve, the smarter you get and the more you earn. It also works the opposite. The more money problems you ignore, the poorer you get. Number 2, what's the worst that can happen? This lesson comes from a personal growth book called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. It will be extremely useful for you in investing in business overall. As you probably noticed, the majority of our worries and stress are related to money. For example, what if I invest in this business idea but it doesn't succeed? What if I invest in this company but lose everything? What if I borrow money but can't pay it off? Whenever I felt fear and worry before making a financial decision, I always ask this question: what is the worst that can happen if I do this? According to Carnegie, things that we believe are really bad are not as bad as we think in reality. I completely agree with this opinion and have witnessed it many times in my own life. This question calms you down immediately and helps you see that even in the worst case scenario, it's not as bad as you think. Very often you realize that even if the worst case happened, you could easily live with it. Here's how you can apply this to your own life. Step 1. Analyze the situation honestly and figure out what is the worst that can happen. Step 2. After figuring out what's the worst that can happen, accept it. Accept it as it has already happened. And step 3, once you accept the worst outcome, calmly devote your time and energy to working on the problem. Acceptance of what has happened is the first step in overcoming the consequences of any misfortune. One of the worst features of worrying is that it destroys our ability to concentrate. When we worry, our minds jump here and there, but acceptance calms us down. and lets us focus on the solution. Number 3, the wrong mountain and the sunk cost fallacy. Imagine you're climbing a mountain, and when you are halfway there, you look around and see that you have climbed the wrong mountain. The mountain you had to climb is just right next to you, but you made a mistake. To climb the right mountain, you have to go down, rest a bit, do some planning, and start all over again. Now, what will you do? If you're like most people, you're not going down, even though you know that is the right thing to do. You're gonna say, what the hell? It sucks to be on the wrong mountain, but I'm not going down. I have worked so hard to climb this far. I can't throw away all my hard work. Plus, the view is not that bad here, so I'm going to stay. The reason most of us refuse to go down the wrong mountain is because of a psychological phenomenon called sunk cost fallacy. It's the tendency to value the energy we've already invested or the money we've already spent and ignore the energy or money we'll lose in the future. In other words, we keep our focus on the past instead of in the future. Maybe you're watching this video now and saying, well, if I was on that mountain, I would go down and start again. Well, let me ask you this. Your parents wanted you to become a doctor, engineer, or lawyer, so you did as they wanted. Now you're halfway through your studies and already know that this is the wrong mountain, but you still keep going. Why is that? You work on a job that you hate, but you still keep doing it and will probably do it for the rest of your life. Why is that? Or maybe you're in a relationship that you know that it's not going to work, but you still keep going. You quit smoking and promise not to smoke again. But instead of throwing away the last package, you're hiding it somewhere in your room. You already get my point, right? The sunk cost fallacy is one of the most common and dangerous cognitive biases we fall victim to. Understanding it has improved my life a lot. It's pretty hard, but I do my best to know the price I've paid or the time and energy I've spent and remind myself that the past is the past. And it is irrelevant when it comes to the future success of something. I ask myself this question: starting from today, knowing what I know now, would I continue investing in this business or relationship? Does it make sense to stick with this decision starting from today or not? If the answer is no, I stop it. Honestly, every single time it was painful to stop. It was painful to throw away all that work and money. But in the long term, it was worth it a lot, of course. Number 4, the difference between an asset and a liability. As many beginning readers do, one of the first finance books I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And the most important lesson that stuck with me was the difference between an asset and a liability. Rich Dad defined an asset as something that puts money in your pocket, and the liability as something that takes money out of your pocket. This lesson is extremely simple, but hard to apply in real life. Rich Dad said that getting rich is easy. You only need to do one thing: buy more assets. And that's it. If you do that, you will be rich. After reading the book, I became conscious of every single purchase I was making and focused on buying more assets. One of the assets I bought was a real estate property that was generating around $100 a month in positive cash flow. Then I realized that in a digital business like a YouTube channel like this one, you can earn those $100 monthly per video and even more. This was a wake-up moment for me because now I know that every single video I'm creating is an asset. It's like a digital real estate property that produces cash flow. The difference is that buying the physical real estate property took me months and cost me around $10,000. But producing the video was just a few $100s. This was the moment I started to take YouTube more seriously and treat every single video as a digital real estate, which of course led me to learn more about this and to creating more and more videos and channels in different languages. Number 5, when it comes to money, it is stupid to rely on willpower. Automate instead. A few years ago, I was meeting with my manager at the bank to get a credit card. If you're using a credit card, then you probably know that interest rates are pretty high on them. but as long as you pay back within a certain period, there's no interest charged. My manager warned me about this. He said, "Look, you have two options to pay back the money first, and the cheapest option is to just set a notification on your calendar for the exact day of every month and manually pay. You'll only press one button and the money will be transferred. It's so easy. You don't even need to fill in the account number. Just set a button on your calendar and next, just press the one button." The second option is to pick a date and the money will be automatically deducted. However, this automatic system will cost you around $3 every month. He said that in his opinion, the best option is the first one. It is free of charge plus very easy to do. It doesn't make sense to pay for it. Just set a reminder on your calendar for the same date of every month and simply click one button. So I agreed and did as he recommended, thinking that paying $3 per month is unnecessary when I can do it for free. Guess what happened next on the following 6-month period? I forgot to press that one simple button and paid interest twice, one for $50 and the second for $60. Although I had a calendar notification and the easiness of payment, I still forgot to do it. For example, when the notification came, I was in the middle of something important and said to myself that I would do it later, and that later never came. After the second interest payment, I emailed the guy and asked him to make it automatic. He once again warned me about the $3 fee, but I had already learned my lesson. And it's this: when it comes to your money, whether it is investing, saving for a vacation, paying off debts, or whatever it is, if you don't make it automatic, it's simply not going to happen. I don't care how strong your willpower is or how disciplined you are. You will fail this lesson most of the times. Believe me. Now I do my best to just make things automatic, and not just with finances, but with other areas as well, because I know that relying on willpower is never going to work when it comes to money. Probably over 90% of the job is psychology and emotions. So the beauty of automation is that it eliminates most of the emotional and psychological resistance. You set it once and then forget about it. So do a favor to your future self and make things automatic. And this is it for this video. Please stay connected so that you don't miss the second part of it coming up next week. In the meanwhile, if you want to learn how to get more in one day than others do in 5, I recommend you this video coming up in your screen right now. And remember, with reading and education, life is always so much better.